The Cologne has developed a 3D printer. It can process polymer drug filaments for the individual dosing of drugs. Experts from engineering, pharmacy, and polymer development join forces to achieve this. Their aim is to tailor drug therapies more precisely to people. We want to make it possible to individually produce tablets that are needed for very specific therapies or for the different characteristics of each individual person. We want the ability to make adjustments here. The end result is that you produce a limited number of units, even the smallest quantities, and then another medicine for the next patient. Conventional 3D printers are not suitable for processing active ingredients. However, the engineers at Cologne were able to solve this problem. For the pharmaceutical 3D printer, it simply has to be ensured that the complete system is in a residue-free condition afterwards, so that the process can be restarted. Ultimately, we design parts that come into contact with the active ingredients in such a way that they can be replaced and accessed externally. Our tests have shown that we need around 5 minutes to set it up again so that we can continue. From a pharmaceutical point of view, the biggest challenge was to design the combination of active ingredients and the polymer as a carrier in such a way that the effect is targeted. This largely depends on two functions. One is the quality of the polymer. There are polymers that dissolve relatively quickly and those that are practically insoluble. There are polymers that take a long time to dissolve. This means that the basic characteristics of the release form can be determined by choosing the right polymer. 3D printing now offers the possibility of changing the geometry, of freely changing the surface-to-volume ratio, which is also decisive for the release. These are all possibilities offered by this technology that can be individually adapted for patients, including geriatric patients, who have to take a large number of different active ingredients per day. The concept of the so-called polypill, in which several active ingredients that do not necessarily belong in one tablet from the outset, can nevertheless be combined to improve treatment adherence. Not only older people, but above all children should benefit from the fact that active ingredients can be individually adapted. This is because giving them medication is still cumbersome, and the dosage imprecise, as tablets are usually designed for adults. Merck Healthcare was primarily concerned with the polymer properties that had to be changed in order for 3D printing to work at all. That was once the compatibility of substances at elevated temperatures. We were talking about a temperature range of 70 to 200 degrees Celsius without degradation or structural changes. Secondly, we also looked at the properties of the filaments, which had to have good flexibility and be able to be stored safely for a long time. Pharmaceutical requirements were also the subject of research. For example, the question of how poorly water-soluble active ingredients, which cannot normally be easily processed as tablets, can be better absorbed by patients with the help of new polymers. One of the challenges was to ensure that the polymers and filaments could be processed without additives such as plasticizers, even with commercial polymers that are very brittle and difficult to process. Tilman Spitz, who has now co-founded the pilot project as the startup company goatAM, sees many possible areas of application for the 3D printer. If we are only talking about oral dosage forms, then it would be strongly integrated into the daily routine of hospitals and their pharmacies. In university hospitals, it would mainly be used in drug trials because you can produce these small quantities without having to start up a complete production line, which is a huge cost factor.
Denn man kann eben diese kleinen Stückzahlen herstellen, ohne eine komplette Produktionsstraße anwerfen zu müssen, was ein riesiger Kostenfaktor ist.
Then at some point, it will go to the pharmacy around the corner.
Wir sehen das Ganze aber auch im
However, we also see the printing system possibly happening in the area of implants. If a cavity is created during surgery, it could also be filled with medication that is individually tailored to the patient in the future. It will still take some time to turn this wish into reality. The startup plans to have a sophisticated product on the market in 2 years at the latest.